Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum, viewers. I'm Niloufar Ali, and today my guest is Sir Paul Bowen, and he is a PhD. He's a PhD doctor, and as well as he's an philosophy teacher of philosophy. So I'm very grateful to Sir Paul Bowen for joining my show, for taking time out of their precious time and join this live show. So I'm very grateful to him. So let's start our show and start our conversation with Sir Paul Bowen. Sir, hi sir, how are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you
Sir,
today?
thank you for your time and for your support.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Sir, so first of all, I would like you to. Sorry, sir. Sir, first of all, I would like to request you that please give an introduction about yourself.
All right, well, excuse me just a second. Okay. Okay, my name is Paul Bowen. I'm 79 years old. I live in the United States. I am married. I have two children. Both of them are grown up. And I I have a doctorate in philosophy from Yale University, and I've taught philosophy at Brown University and the University of Cincinnati. And I've retired from that, but now, well, recently I have been teaching at the Schilling School for Gifted Children. And but I'm now, I think, essentially retired from that too. So I'm retired. So let's see. I guess that's the basic of what I'm doing. I still am sort of doing philosophy. I have a Facebook page where we have discussions, uh, and it's under my name, Paul Bowen.
Sir, my first question is I have watched your interviews that are also discussing about human flourishing. So I also want to know about human flourishing. So sir, what are the main important components of human flourishing?
Well, that's a fair question. uh, First of all, it's necessary to have the basic needs of a person. You know, food, clothing, shelter,
Yes.
community, and then you flourish more if you're healthy. You should be healthy both physically and mentally. And then I think there are social needs that a person has. A person needs a community, a family, friends, and so on. Other people to whom they can relate. I think there are very few people who would flourish if they were all by themselves in the world. And also, I think uh, a person needs some sense that they are useful. Okay, so they have some work in the world that is to them seems to be constructive. They seem to be accomplishing something worthwhile in their work, but they also need play. They need to have fun sometimes, and of course to get some rest. And it should flourishing also happens when you use any of your talents. Okay, so you have various different talents, and if you get to use them in a way that makes sense to you, then that's flourishing. Um, and you should have some success. I mean, if you fail at everything, I wouldn't call that flourishing. But if if you are in many cases successful in using your talents to do something that seems meaningful to you, then that's flourishing. And I think people need a kind of a philosophy, you know, basic philosophy that tells them what the world is like that they're in, and what other people are like, and what society, how society should work, and things like that. And so, yes, I think that's the main part of it. Yeah, that that's essentially what it takes to flourish. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, there are many aspects of human life. Sir, I want to know the role of religion in human flourishing.
Well, that's a good question. I think that religion, it's partly what I just said, that people need a philosophy, but religion often has a philosophy. It says what are the important things in the world. Uh, what are we here for? And often religion has answers to this question. What are we here for? What should we do? And philosophy, I'm sorry, religion in a sense also helps to organize people and to bond people together,
Yes.
which is I think very important. And so, well, I think that's the main thing. The main thing there is that it gives answers to some very basic questions that everyone has, and it binds people together.
Yes, sir. Sir, what are the sir, according to you, you are in your view, what are the principles and practices contribute to human flourishing?
Yes. Well, I think that many practices are important practices are social practices, and so I I think that society should help people to flourish. That's really what society is all about, in my opinion. It's just the job of society is to help the people to flourish, or even people outside of the society. If you can help other people, that's fine. But your first task of a society is to help people, and there are various ways they can do this. Of course, they can. The government should keep the peace. You know, if there's no peace, then it's very difficult for people to flourish. I also think that um, I'm in favor of democracy because under democracy and freedom, a certain degree of freedom. Uh, with democracy and freedom, people have control over their lives, and I think people need some control over their lives in order to flourish. And democracy helps to provide this, or it can. Of course, any system, if it doesn't function well, then it's not going to do its thing. But if democracy functions well, then this is good. And there should also be equality. I don't really want to see very rich people and at the same time very poor people, or very powerful people and people with
Yes.
power. So I think in order, uh, then the people at the bottom are not flourishing, and I think that's not a good thing. Another very important thing is education and training, because people, as I say, flourishing is when you can use your talents to do something worthwhile. But it's a big help to using your talents if you are trained in something, or if you are educated. Uh, that increases your ability to do things and to flourish. So I think that education, of course, medical care is very important, because if you're not flourishing if you're not healthy. I mean, that's pretty basic. So uh, everyone should have basic medical care, and I guess those are the main things that I would say are crucially important. Yes.
Yes, sir. Agree with you that education, equality, democracy are the main practices and principle of human flourishing. Sir, my next question is how personal fulfillment contributes to the overall well-being and prosperity of individual in the context of their flourishing.
Well, in a way, I think personal fulfillment is flourishing, or it's a very important part of flourishing. Uh,
Yes, sir.
it's not something different from
Yes, sir.
flourishing. So, uh, if you are being fulfilled, then you are flourishing, and and in a way, I would almost say the same thing about prosperity. You know, prosperity means that you have enough.
Yes, sir.
Now, some people have too much, but at least that's not particularly good. But everyone should have enough, uh, and they should be prosperous in that sense. They should satisfy their basic needs, and what I would call their genuine needs. You know? And so that so overall well-being is almost the same thing as what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
As flourishing.
Yes, sir. Sir, how can an individual achieve balance between various aspects of life and and while maintaining their sense of harmony?
Well, that's a good question. I think that this is something at the end of it. I think we discover as we go through life, we discover what our talents are. We don't know at the beginning. So there is a period of adjustment where we learn about ourselves, and that will help us to make the kind of decisions that you're talking about to achieve balance. So, but I think the three things you mentioned are very important to keep in balance. You should not let one of them dominate the others. And if you find that one is dominating the others, then there's a problem. And this is where freedom is important because a person has to be able to structure their own life because nobody knows as well as you do what your needs are
Yes,
and what your talents are. And so
yes,
people need to have the power to work out for themselves what a good balance is uh, between these things. And of course, sometimes they fit together. They're not
yes,
necessarily in contradiction. You may grow personally because of the relationships you have or because of your work. So this is good. People should have work is not just about the product of the work, but it's also what happens to the work. Okay. If you have the right kind of work, then it's very fulfilling for you.
yes, sir.
If you have the wrong kind of work, then you're just stressed out, you're bored, uh,
Right.
may not be safe. Then work is a problem for you. But if
Yes, sir.
you find the right work, then that will help you to flourish. And it's the same way with relationships. What you need to
Mm.
do is find people in your life who help you with your personal growth. And
Yes, sir.
okay, and some people, unfortunately, they are mean, they're spiteful, they are a problem for you. So if you can get these people out of your life, that's good. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and
Thank you.
find people who inspire you. Okay, find people who love you and who want you to succeed, and those
Yes,
are the relationships that you should have. Uh, and so relationships can help your personal growth, and likewise,
yes,
personal growth is important for relationships. As you grow personally, you get better at relating to other people,
yes, sir.
and so you will
Yes,
have better relationships when you have personal growth, and probably you will also have better work because you will get along with other people better in the workplace. and that will make your work better. So these things are all connected. But yes, you do have to find a balance in them, and that's something that happens as you grow older, and you try this, you try that, you try the other thing, and eventually it gets better.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Sir, in my opinion, relationship is very important thing in our life. We can tolerate our problems or issues in workplace if our relationship life, our personal life is well and healthy. So I think when if our relationship is toxic, we are in a toxic relationship, then everything lose their balance. So, sir, my next question is about your Schilling School of Gifted Children's. So, sir, I would like to ask you about that school and your experience and about the Schilling School of Gifted Children's.
Okay, well, the Schilling School is a school that teaches kids from kindergarten through high school, and so it's pre-college. It's not a it's before college. And
Yes.
what we mean by gifted in this context is that they're more intelligent than the average. They have to have
Mm,
an IQ of 130 or better in order to
mm,
get in. Uh, and we hope that this is a good thing because sometimes gifted students have difficulty in the public schools for various reasons. And uh, one reason is that the public schools are too easy for them, and so they don't develop discipline. For example, another thing is that they don't get along with the other kids very well. Uh, for example, gifted students have a different sense of humor
yes.
than other students,
Yes.
and so they come to the Schilling School.
Mm,
And people laugh at their jokes instead of
mm,
looking puzzled, right? So. So this is, and so we try to prevent them with a more challenging curriculum, and but partly it's just that they get to be with other gifted students. And now, what I have learned from this, what I've learned, well,
yes.
I have learned that intelligence has certain limitations. Uh, some of our students are very extremely intelligent, but they're not motivated to make something of themselves.
Mm,
And this is kind of, I find this to be sort of sad, but there are certain character traits that you need in addition to intelligence in order to do certain things. And I have seen in Schilling students who have both, who are very motivated. They want to learn. Other students, they're more interested in video games and things like that. And um,
mm,
they don't, they're not learning what I consider to be something important. They get very good at this video game, and then it goes into out of fashion, and there's another video game for them to learn. And they're not really learning anything that's going to be terribly useful to them in their
mm,
life. Uh, but I think another thing, which I think is true of all my teaching, even before I was at Schilling, is that I find it's more important uh, for students to see the beauty and importance of the subject rather than how useful it's going to be for them to get a job.
mm,
Uh, Students don't look ahead. People that age, they're not looking ahead 20 years. They're
yes.
thinking about how they feel in the present. And so if you say, yes, if you learn this stuff, you'll get a good job, so, 20 years from now, uh, that doesn't motivate them. What motivates them, and I think this is particularly true of gifted students, is to see that the subject is fascinating. Okay, it's wonderful. So this is what I try to communicate. It's not so much the facts or the methods, but the idea that this is beautiful. It's beautiful to
Hmm.
learn these things. It's beautiful to be able to do these things. It's beautiful in itself, not because it will get you something else. And once a student sees that, then they will teach themselves. I can go to sleep, you know, because the student will teach themselves then, because they see that it's how wonderful it is. And my job is really done. I'm just there. They can ask me questions if they need help. But on the other hand, if it's boring to them, then what can I do? You know, I can urge them. I can threaten to give them a bad grade and all this. But these things don't really work together. If the student is not motivated, then it makes everything just much more difficult. So the important thing is to try to inspire the students and get them to see how wonderful. All.
Hmm.
Sometimes we feel teachers feel very frustrated because it's like we have a chest full of rubies and diamonds and jewels and gold and all this stuff. Look, isn't this beautiful? And they say, right? And that's very disappointing. That's very frustrating. But we can sometimes succeed in getting them that it is a wonderful thing. So that's my answer.
Sir, great to know about this school, and we can say that normal people teaching most intelligent people. We can say that. So, sir, my next question is, what are your hobbies and what you do in your free time?
Well, I spend a lot of time reading and studying, and I guess I'm one of these people who thinks it's wonderful for its own sake. So, so I do that. And as a I do music as a hobby. I sing. I have an electric guitar, and I play a little piano. And when I was very young, I wanted to be a composer, but things didn't work out. But there's still this little child inside me that says, I want to be a composer. You know, I want to do music. It hasn't been the main thing in my life, but it's
Hmm.
still, it's a part of me. And so I do a little music uh, from time to time. I practice my instrument, I sing. And uh, so that that is a lot to do. I guess I don't know if this counts as free time, but I try to get exercise. Uh,
Hmm.
so every day I spend half an hour jogging, and I lift weights, stuff like this. It's important to me to stay in shape. Uh, so I don't know if that's a hobby or if that's just something necessary, but but that is part of how I spend my time. Of course, now I'm essentially retired. I'm not teaching at the Schilling School anymore, and just this year, and so I have a lot of free time in a way. All my time is free time. Well, I mean, there are things to do around the house, you know, stuff like that. Go shopping, but those are the things I do. I guess this is one of the things I do. I give interviews, so that's something.
Yes. Sir, you tell us about your music. Your that music is the most important thing in your life. So, which type of music you like the most in playing and in listening?
Well, I like lots of different kinds of music. Um, perhaps perhaps
Okay.
some kind of I like some music because it's challenging. So,
Mhm.
for example, some of the early 20th century music, like Berg, Debussy. I like this music partly because it's difficult to understand, you see. So
Right.
I like a challenge. I like a challenge. If music is too easy to understand, then there's some part of me that Oh, okay. but but I also like rock and roll, and folk music and music from other eras and from different countries. Uh, and so, in this sense, I like many different uh, kinds of music, and I'm trying to make up little things myself. Like I say, I have this inner child which wants to compose, and so every now and then I do. I improvise something, uh, and so I do that. Unfortunately, I'm not good enough to play much music. I just don't have the dexterity, I guess, to be really good at playing an instrument. So it's something I do for fun. I pretty much do it by myself. Uh, but in a way, that would be an answer. What kind of music do you like? Is, well, I try to create the music that I like, uh, and so there's that.
Right. So great to know about your desire, your likes about music, sir. What are the most? I would like to ask you that who is the most important person in your life? You believe is the reason of your happiness and success.
Oh, there's no question about that. It would be my wife, Judy Strong, and she is undoubtedly the biggest reason for my happiness and success. For one thing, she's a practical person, and I'm not a practical person. So if I were left by myself, I would probably just starve to death because, but she is much more capable of, of taking care of stuff like that. And but she understands what I'm like, and she accepts me the way I am, totally impractical. And she helps me out. She says, "Okay, do this. Here's how you do it. Do it like this."
Yes.
And so so and so I think that the question of acceptance is very important. That she's not impatient with me. I have a psychological condition called attention deficit disorder, and this makes me very forgetful, and I forget to do things that I'm supposed to do. Now this is a great blessing now because this will tell me you're supposed to do this now. So this is very helpful. But my wife has also has been very helpful in dealing with my being forgetful and easily distracted, and so so sometimes I have a task I'm supposed to do. I go to do it, something distracts me, and then later I think, oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to do that. So I go back to it, and then I'm distracted again. This can go on for quite a while. So he puts up with this. So I think that's great. And I just admire her as a person. I admire her as a person, and we get along very well.
Yes.
And so this is I would say this is the central person in my life, and definitely a major condition of my happiness and what success I have.
So that's great, and it's a blessing that our life partner is supportive and caring. So this is a blessing of Allah. So, sir, I wish you both a very happy and peaceful life and a long and healthy life. Sir, my next question is about if you had a chance to restart your life. So, what things you would like to remove from life, and what things you would like to add in your life?
Well,
You can say,
go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, yes, okay, sir.
Um, I wish I knew then what I knew now. I think when I was young, I was very unhappy and bitter and hostile. I didn't get along with people, and I was dissatisfied, and I was unhappy. And as I passed through life, it got better. I learned. I learned that there were better ways to be, and I probably will continue to learn. If I live another 10 years, I'll probably look back and say, when I was 79, I didn't know anything. I wish that when I was 79, I wish that I knew what I know now. But so this main thing that I would change if I went back in time is I wish I had the attitude towards life that I have today. The attitude towards life that I have today, it makes me happy. It makes me get along with people better. So I wish I could go back. I feel like I wasted a lot of time and did a lot of, unfortunate things. It is partly because of my attention deficit disorder, but I didn't know that there even was such a thing. So I blamed myself for being forgetful because I thought, well, if I just try harder, I won't be so
Yes.
forgetful. But that's not true. It's a neurological condition. You can't change it. So,
Mm.
so you can see that made me very unhappy with myself. So just learning that there was such a thing as attention deficit disorder made me think about myself differently. Oh, it's not my fault. I was born with this.
Yes.
So I think it's very important for people to learn about themselves and learn these things. So that I think is the main thing. I wish I knew. I wish I had known then uh, what I know now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So you're right, but there are many experiences, bad experiences in life. We don't like them, and they made us sad. But these all experiences make us more better, and they are good for me. I used to say that they are good for our future. So they are good for us. So, sir, my next question is: how was your childhood? Any beautiful memory, if you would like to share with us, that still makes you smile?
Well, my childhood. Hmm. Well, as I've already said, I was not terribly happy when I was younger. I think
Hmm.
one thing that I liked then was when I could get out and take a walk in nature and be by myself walking through the forest. And I also had a dog, and I was very close to this dog. Uh, and I still miss this dog. uh, and uh, but we would take these walks together, and she would be running around sniffing at things, that's the way dogs do, and I would just be walking. And so that was a positive thing uh, in my memory of my childhood. And uh, I think I think I spent a lot of time as a child imagining things, and that was a positive thing for me. Um, and I learned to read. I learned to read. I was very quick to learn how to read, and that was good. I read a lot. It was mostly fiction. In fact, I like science fiction, and I still do like science fiction um, because I think science fiction says, it doesn't have to be like this. It could be like that, and people don't have to be like this. They could be like that, and so. And so sometimes I am a bit discouraged about how things are. I'm discouraged because people keep doing war, for example. And I think war is just the stupidest thing you could possibly imagine. Why are people killing each other and blowing things up uh, instead of having a good time and getting along with each other? You know, and so science fiction allowed me to imagine that things might be different from the way they are, and I think that was very important to me. I think that's the main thing that comes to mind.
Right, sir. Sir, I really enjoyed this session and I really love to talk to you and it was very informative and very enjoyable. Sir, in the last, I would like to ask you that what advice would you offer for leading fulfillment and fulfilling and meaningful life?
Mhm. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because I think it's a little bit different for everyone. So I think first of all, you need self knowledge. You need to understand how you're different from other people. You just imitate other people because you're not like them. And
Yes.
so, uh, so you should get self knowledge, and then you should be, when it's possible, you should be courageous and stand up for yourself. Um, and say, no, this is what I want from my life. And of course, I mean, you shouldn't do things that are bad for other people, but you should be willing. You should not let other people talk you into doing things that you don't really want to do unless you really can't help it. Uh, and so you should explore. You should explore, and you should try to be happy and to get along with other people. If other people are the most important thing in a way, or pretty close to the most important thing in life. And if you don't get along with them, uh, then there's always going to be problems. And you have to avoid people who want to exploit you, and you have to avoid people who are not good for you, because that will ruin your life very quickly if you get with people who are not good for you. And all this requires that you learn. You're always learning um, from your experiences. And I would say be educated, be educated, be always learning, not necessarily in school, but just from life. Be always,
Yes.
always learning. And it can be a great comfort because if something bad happens to you, you can say to yourself, okay, that was bad, but I learned something from it. So you always win. If you're willing
Yes.
to if you're willing to learn, you always have something where you have made progress. And
Yes, sir.
uh, so so I think always be learning and always uh, accept that of course it won't always go your way. Sometimes you will be frustrated, but you can always learn and you can always continue, and it will probably get better. You know, it may not seem like it, but if you keep learning and you keep trying, I think from my own experience, it will eventually get
Yeah,
better.
right. Yes, sir. This is a very great message, and thank you very much thank you for very much for your this message, and thank you very much once again for your precious time and for your support. You come to join this show and taking the time out of your busy schedule. So, sir, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed myself very much. Your questions were excellent. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So viewers, I hope you enjoyed this session and this is very informative session. Inshallah, we will come again with an other a great guest and an amazing personality like Sir Paul Bowen. So till then, Allah Hafiz.